right, and welcome to the GSMC Baseball Podcast Patreon exclusive content. So I am your host Kenneth Grunfelder, and it is nice to have you guys here today. On Friday's show, I opened up the actual show saying a very good Monday morning, because I had Monday on the mind. I guess was jumping the gun there, skipping the weekend, which I don't really want to do, but yeah. So yeah, here we are, another edition of the Patreon content. And so we touched upon a lot on today's show. So we went through, latest headlines around the league. We highlighted one of those headlines, which was Chaim Bloom of the Red Sox getting let go. Red Sox in the market for a new general manager. Then I went through and recapped all the games from last night, and then I previewed the upcoming series for this weekend. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack. Obviously, one of the headlines I touched upon was Jason Dominguez getting Tommy John surgery, which I just hate to see, because I was watching watching him play was like really exciting, and I got to watch his first home run against the Astros. It was funny because when the Yankees swept the Astros, it's like, I want to believe, and listen, I'm still trying to believe, even with them basically having no chance, they're still mathematically in it. I think they need to lose right now they're at 9. So if teams keep winning ahead of them and they lose, it just goes down faster. But right now they're 7.5 games back. But yeah, they got no chance. But yeah, Dominguez really, you got to be excited if you're a Yankee fan. What he was able to do, and I just hope that he comes back quickly and he rebounds, and hopefully this doesn't really set him back, because and a lot of times with the Yankees prospects, and it's true though, is like they bring them up and they don't make an immediate impact. Like you see all across baseball, when guys get brought up, they make an immediate impact. And for the Yankees, for some reason, at least recently, that really hasn't been the case. Dominguez made an immediate impact, hitting a home run his first at bat, his first swing off of Justin Verlander, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, Cy Young Award winner, World Series champ. I mean, that had to get you excited. So, and the fact that this had to happen really, really stinks. So, but yeah, that was a big thing. And the Chaim Bloom stuff. And again, this is a Yankee fan talking about this. I'm scratching my head and I'm saying, what is going on? What are the Red Sox doing? I mean, you can't be getting rid of your core guys. And I said this too. If they got rid of Devers, if they let Devers go, not really if they got rid of him, but if they let Devers go, I mean, the fans would have went berserk, because that's one of your core guys. And they let guys go from that World Series team. I mean, JD Martinez I can kind of understand, because he's getting older, but Mookie Betts, and Benintendi's not as good as what he used to be, so I'm not really going to kill him for that, but it's really Mookie Betts, but yeah, but again, well, and Bogarts, they should have kept all these guys. They should have kept this core together. But they, for whatever reason, they were just like, nah, we're going to take a different approach to things. I mean, you go out and you trade for Kyle Schwarber at the trade deadline in 2021, and then you just let him go after he was great. He was great for the Red Sox. I mean, listen, I'm happy that they didn't keep him, but I mean, I think that's a guy you got to go and keep. And they didn't want to. But I don't know. I think it was the right move. And listen, the Red Sox, and I heard Susan Waldman say it yesterday, I think, while listening to the broadcast in the car. And I said it on the show, is you got to stop pretending to be the Rays and be the Red Sox. And that's exactly what it's supposed to be. All right, and I understand that analytics is taking over the game and it's not going to go away. And I understand that. But, and it's the same thing that goes with any big market team. If you have the money, go out and spend it if you can. Why are you taking this you know this approach that these smaller market teams have to take? The reason why these smaller market teams are doing this is because they don't have the money that you guys have. So why are we doing what they? Because I don't know. A lot of people point at the A's and the Rays and how they just kind of ruined baseball. I mean, the Rays started all this stuff with, even with the shift. I mean, that really, I think that started really with the Rays. They started doing that, and then everybody started copying it. And how many championships have the Rays won? How many championships have they won? They've won 0. They haven't won anything. So why are you copying somebody that isn't? I mean, the Red Sox. Look at how many championships they've won since '04. Why are we copying the Rays? The Rays are a very good regular season team. But when they get to the postseason, what do? They haven't won anything. So why are we copying them? We're gonna copy. If you want to copy anybody, copy teams that have won. Go look at what the Astros are doing. Well, let's pause for a second. Don't do what the Astros did in terms of the sign stealing, but how they've built their team. Look at the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers won during the COVID year, and a lot of people would put an asterisk around that. They did the same thing with the Astros winning in 2017. But the Astros are a really good team. The Dodgers are a very good team. Those are the teams that you got to copy. If you're a big market team. If you're a small market team, that's different. You don't have the resources. The resources that some of the bigger market teams have. But copy from those teams that have won. The Braves. Copy those teams. Copy the Braves, the Astros, and the Dodgers. That is what you should do. And the Red Sox, they won in 2018. And now the following year, 2019, they didn't have as good of a year. I think they won 80-something games. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard to repeat, but still, it's why are you I just don't get it. I mean, we would have lost it. The Yankee fans would have lost it if we lost Aaron Judge. You got to keep your core guys. You have to. And obviously times are different now. I mean, the contracts that are giving out today is just, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, you got 11-year contracts, 13-year contracts. I mean, it's just it's crazy. The amount of, and it's just, that's why it is kind of tough. But if you got the money, you got to prioritize, keeping your guys. But again, there's people that are fixated on staying under the luxury tax, and it's just, it really just doesn't make, from a fan's perspective, it's frustrating. Because the Red Sox had a very good core when they won that World Series in 2018. And they let a lot of guys go. Now, they've been good at times during the season, but they're signing guys again, Corey Kluber, James Paxton, Michael Wacha, and all these guys that aren't Rich Hill. It's you gotta. There's a different way of doing things. You can't be. The starting rotation needs to be better. And they let Evaldi go too. That's another guy they let go. And he was a big part of their World Series. And now he's had a great year for the Rangers. It's just kind of crazy. He's another guy. He's on the Marlins. Really wasn't that good. Comes to the Yankees. He won 14 games his first season. Then they got rid of him. And now he goes out and to the Red Sox. He's a productive pitcher. And he helps them win a championship. All right, so I had some camera issues. So I'm using now my camera on my directly from my laptop instead of the video camera that I got. So so I don't even so I was just talking about the Red Sox. I'll just continue on what I was saying. So yeah, they got rid of their core guys. And I can't even believe that even happened with my camera. I don't know why. I honestly have no idea why. So now you could see the drop off in the quality. I'm sure it's not it's a huge deal, but that's very interesting that happened. I don't know why, but that's just what happens. It's just it's ridiculous, but it is what it is. There's always something going on for whatever reason with my equipment and things going on around me. But yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, the Red Sox. Hopefully, better days are ahead for them, and they are able to, get their act together, and for their fans, get back to how they were, because eventually they're going to be good again. We talk about the AL East. The Orioles aren't going away. The Rays aren't going away. The Blue Jays have been, disappointing, especially recently. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Red Sox, they're eventually going to be good again, and when they are, it's going to be a problem. And that's why, when I look at my team's got to, get back to, you know, how it was. So, but yeah. So the other stuff we talked about as well is just, the scores and updated standings, things like that. Um, you know, the playoff. I mean, I really just the playoff race has really been something special to watch. I mean, especially you got all these teams that are so close to each other, and it's really gonna be exciting towards the end of the when we get to the end of the season, how it all shakes out, because tiebreakers are gonna play a huge role. There's no game 163, but you figure if you know if teams are tied at the end of the season and it comes down to the tiebreakers, you got to wonder, is Major League Baseball going to say, hey, what if we go in and try to change that so there is a one game tiebreaker that you have to play so you can get into the wild card round, a 2 game or 3 game series, and then you get to the next round, the division series after that. So you got to figure there might be conversations about that, because it is so hectic. I mean, and this is the second year that this has been implemented. I mean, I'm saying I don't remember this many wild card teams fighting for one spot, but yeah, that's because this is the second year that they're doing it. Because I talked about it on the show, it used to be just one wild card team, and then you had the division winners, and that was it. And honestly, I mean, I never liked the wild card game because, well, for one thing, because the Yankees have been playing it a bunch of times. So the 2015 wild card game was the first playoff game that I ever experienced, and the atmosphere was great. You had, the fans were really into it. Playoff baseball is so much different from the regular season. It really is. Um, the crowd's always on their feet. Like the first batter of the game, it's like it's the last out. And yeah, it was great for an inning, and then the Yankees gave up a home run, and then that was it. They didn't even score in the game. So, um, yeah, it was. It was. I mean, I didn't think we were gonna win. Dallas Keuchel threw a complete game shutout, and yeah, it stunk. But then I went to probably the best game that I've ever went to in my life. I went to the wild card game 2 years later, when they played the Twins, and they were down 3-0 in the first inning, and then Didi Gregorius hit that 3-run home run, and that was the loudest I've ever heard the stadium. And I would love to go back and relive that moment, because that was just, I mean, that was incredible. That was an incredible game. And yeah, and then last year I went to game one of the division series against the Guardians with my friends, so that was a good time too. But the wild card game against the Twins, that's gonna always, it's gonna be very hard unless I'm in attendance for when they win the World Series. Um, there's no way that that's ever gonna be topped. Yeah. So okay. Um, but yeah. So yeah, the playoff baseball is it really is a different animal, and you know, we'll see how it is this year. I mean, you're not going to have any New York teams in it this year. They had high expectations, and things just didn't go the right way for them. So, it's really gonna be it's gonna be different this year. Really gonna be different. And there's big series this weekend. You got the um, you got the AL East that's up for grabs. The big Mariners Dodgers series, that should be a really good series to watch. Um, and then you got the Diamondbacks and the Cubs, and that's for wild card implications, and for the division. The Cubs still trying to win the NL Central. So there's a lot. There's a lot to look forward to with this series. So I'm excited, to see how it all plays out. But and then when we get to the postseason, it's gonna be completely different. You know, um, I'm curious to see how Camden Yards is gonna be. If first I got to wrap up the division. Camden Yards is gonna go crazy if the Orioles are if the Orioles win the division, they will have the best record as of right now. But that could change. The Rays are right there. Tropicana Field. A lot of fans go to playoff games for the Rays, but like they don't fully pack out that stadium. There's still some empty seats, especially up top. But yeah, postseason is completely different, and we'll just have to. We're getting close. We're getting to that point where it is going to be exciting. And the good thing also about today's show was also having some interaction with getting some comments. Obviously, both basically talking about the Blue Jays and the Phillies, and the Blue Jays. Yeah, they're in trouble right now. They're in some trouble, and I don't know what's going to happen if this team doesn't make the playoffs. Because you want to talk about a disappointment, that would be a major disappointment if this team doesn't make the playoffs. Because listen, they've underperformed. They missed the playoffs a couple years ago. They made it. They blew the lead against the Mariners, and now this year, if they don't make it, I don't know what's going to happen. But you know, it, they got swept by the Rangers, which I didn't expect. Again, ever since I said the Rangers were going to get swept, and they'd be on the outside looking in, they've been playing really good. They've won 6 in a row, and that's just how it's been. I say something and then the opposite happens. So it's really not surprising to me. This happens a lot. So if you need your team to win, then just have me say something and they'll end up winning. Like if I say the Rangers are going to lose, then that's beneficial for you because the Rangers now are playing really good, and this is especially after Max Scherzer, being out for the rest of the year most likely, including the postseason. So I guess it's me. I'm the jinx, I guess, but yeah, I don't understand with the Blue Jays. It just doesn't make sense why, like the last couple years, everybody, including myself, was like, this is it. The team is gonna this is when they're gonna really go out and, this is when they're gonna turn it on, and it just, I don't know what it is. I don't get it, but it's just it's a head scratcher. But there's still time. It's not like they're buried. They could still make up the ground, but it's just I don't really know. So then Phillies players. So we also, another thing I was asked is who is like the best Philly player over the past 20 years, and I really just went back to who I saw play. Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Roy Halladay, because he threw a couple of no-hitters, a perfect game. Even though he wasn't a Philly his whole career, he had Cliff Lee there as well. I just went back to players that played for, the teams that I watched, play in the playoffs all those years. So that's really what I went to. But yeah, it was a good question. Jason Worth as well. That was another player. Yeah, he went to the Nationals, and those national teams with him were pretty good. Obviously, Bryce Harper came up, and they were good. But yeah, then things change. Bryce Harper then leaves. Jason Worth eventually retires, and then the Nationals now are back to, you know, they won the World Series without those guys, but yeah, and then now the Nationals aren't that good anymore. They got rid of all their guys. Soto's now part of the Padres, and it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. If he stays with the Padres or if he ends up going somewhere else. Which I think I have said this. The Padres I think are going to run it back, but it's that's a team that's been a major disappointment this year. Really, really. Also, what's been kind of disappointing is how this Patreon has gone, because first you have my camera. I don't know what happened to it. It stopped working, and it's not working again. So now I gotta use my laptop camera, and the lighting just keeps changing on it. And then, and then I've kind of had to edit. This video has been edited because then my dog started barking, and I lost my train of thought. So now, and that's all I talk about now is my dog with these shows. But yeah, so this was kind of a little crazy Patreon. So again, more exclusive content right here is watching my equipment not work on me, and then have other stuff happen around me. But yeah, hopefully we get a lot of that. Hopefully I can figure out what happened with my camera here, because it just turned. I don't know what happened, because usually with the software is like, yeah, it'll stop working, but if you go in and you reset it, it'll work. So I tried doing that mid-recording, and it didn't work. So I don't know. So yeah, some of this video is going to be edited. So yeah, just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. But you know what? The audio's still good, lighting's good, because I got my ring light. So the next thing that's gonna happen is the ring light's just gonna go out, and then now I got no light. So, but yeah, so calamity of things happened on this Patreon, this edition of the Patreon for the baseball podcast. Yeah, so that's basically me going off on another tangent. But yeah, big series coming up this weekend, so check that out. Also, I posted more shows for yesterday. So I posted Wednesday's show yesterday. Like I posted the segments for it. So that's up, and it's also on Spotify as well. So if you search up the GSMC Baseball Podcast on Spotify or Apple Music, you will find Tuesday and Wednesday shows on there. Thursday's show is going to be posted later today, so I'll get working on that. Well, first I got to re-edit this, but it'll already be edited when you're watching this. But I got to edit this, which I'll do that first, and then that'll be posted to the Patreon. So, yeah, and then I will edit yesterday's show, and then today's show I'll try to get out as soon as possible. I do have a busy weekend, but I will get that reposted with the individual segments, so you can go back and watch that in case you missed that. So, but yeah, another week in the books. I mean, we've been at it for 2 weeks. The other thing is, make sure to check out our other podcast as well. You have Kashan, who does the college football podcast and the basketball podcast. Does a great job with that, and he was in the chat today. And also you have Austin, who does the fantasy football podcast, and those are on later than my show. They're on at I think they start at 5-6 o'clock. And then, because Kashan has the 2 shows back to back. and then Austin has the fantasy football one, which is soon after that. My show's in the morning, so there's a huge gap. So what you could do is use that huge gap, watch all of our older shows from the past week or so, get yourself caught up, and then that takes you up right to when Kashan and Alex Austin have their show. So make sure to check that out. And but this was a very interesting Patreon episode today, because for some reason things just again decide to go wrong. Pretty much the last couple of days, at least one thing has happened. There's been background noise. The other day was background noise. Today was, yesterday was lights going out, but we fixed that. Then today, Patreon, the stream went fine, but my camera decides to not work for some reason, so I have to switch over to the regular camera, which is why. But this is why I invested in a video camera, because I really do not like the quality of the camera on my laptop. So, but it's as long as for me the audio is good, lighting's good. So, and this is just for today. I'm sure this will all get resolved. Once I get wrapped up here. But I got a lot of editing to do, and to get that, so you guys can go back and listen to the podcast, and you can watch the broken down parts of it on the YouTube channels, because you also have the GSMC Sports Network YouTube channel, and then you have the GSMC Podcast YouTube channel as well, which has a bunch of different podcasts on there besides sports. But yeah, that's basically it. Great show, and very interesting Patreon content show, to say the least. We had a lot that happened, but listen, that's just how it's gonna be. It's things like this are gonna happen, and you just got to deal with it. It's not always gonna be perfect, but that's why we do it. That's why we do it. So so I thank you guys for watching. So again, I just want to run through this. So obviously the tip or donate, that's on the bottom, streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. That's how you support the show, get your comments recognized. And then obviously this is the bonus content. So, tell anybody to go to patreon.com and search up GSMC Sports Network, and that's how you're able to access this content. So, another great week. We'll be back next week talking some more stuff, see how all the games went from this weekend, where the standings currently stand, and, talk about latest headlines and other topics that may come up. So, that's basically it for me. So I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off from the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. Take care, and I'll see you then.